Hi, class. Welcome. Today is December 4th. It's Tuesday, and it is our next day for our narrative writing, and we are going to create new ideas. As you learned yesterday, we can create ideas based on a small moment story in our personal life and change it to something fictional. Today, you're going to learn a different approach, which is finding something that you wish you saw in the world and creating it. Now, today I want to teach you that writers collect ideas or for stories not only by discovering tiny details, but also thinking about stories that they wish existed. Sometimes they get the ideas by thinking, how can I write a story for people like me so I can see myself in my books? This is a perfect opportunity for those students who I've heard say, these books are so boring. I can never find a book I like to read. This is your opportunity to create something that you think people will like to read and that you yourself would like to read because you are writing about yourself. Um, so let me show you how I did have this example. Yesterday, I have my examples about my short story and then story ideas based off of my story that could be a fictional story for my paper that I'm going to write. Today, I'm going to go to a new page and write today's date on the top, 12/4. And I thought of a story that is something that relates to me personally because it's a true story about me, but I'm going to change it to fiction because I would love to see something like this. I think it's a good idea for a fictional story. So my idea is that a teacher who traveled to a diverse country and found great success in teaching there, and she had so much fun and loved the people and loved the atmosphere, and then she came back to her home country where it was very familiar and the students are growing up exactly how she grew up, and she's having a hard time relating to the students or finding common ground. And she creates a YouTube channel for her students to watch her video lessons um, and move forward with their writing in hopes of creating writers. And I feel like this is very similar to what I'm doing. However, the characters will be very different, and I will elaborate more because my story can use a little bit of drama in it, I think. And I just feel like that's a good a good story that I could relate to, and I would love to read it myself. So your task today is to write an idea of a story that you wish were out in the world. So let's try an example. If you don't have your notebook right next to you, notebook and pencil right next to you, pause the video and grab it. All right, now that you have your notebook and pencil, I want to just do a quick exercise with you individually, one-on-one. Let's try to maybe think of yourself. There's a lot of sports players in this class. So think about yourself in a sport and say, I wish there were more books about kids who aren't good at sports. Remember that you make this wish into a story idea and you need to invent some details. You can do so by asking questions of your story idea. Why isn't the kid in the story good at sports? Which sport? What happened lately that shows these struggles? So pause the video, take a minute to write down your idea for a sports story about a student with some ideas about why they aren't good at sports or what sport it is and why and how they're struggling. Pause the video now and jot down a few notes about that. All right, you should have an idea in your notebook about a student who is struggling with sports or how how it is that they're having a tough time with sports. Now, I know some of you might be having trouble with this idea, but remember, this is fiction. It's not true. It's not real. And even if the character doesn't resemble you, try putting yourself in their shoes, trying to put yourself in their head. Later, you'll have a chance to think about stories with characters that resemble what you existed. This is just an example for me and you to look at. Now you can pause and now draw a line underneath your sports idea and start to think about your next idea. It doesn't have to be sports. It should be something that maybe you care passionately about, or a hobby, or something that you just enjoy and you wish existed in the world. All right, writers, let's wrap it up by making sure you show me before the end of the day your idea for a story that you wish existed in the world. Also, go on to the next slide and notice that yesterday in your notes, you wrote your short story. Some of you got ideas already for a fictional story. If you did not write ideas for a fictional story yet based on your small moment, go ahead and jot down a few more ideas. Your goal is to have a few ideas for your fictional story so that when we get to writing it, you can go and look over your ideas and say, oh, I really like that one, but this is the one that I'm going to write about. It'll make it easier in the long run. If you have any questions, raise your hand, and good luck.